Boxing on the Go. We're back. I'm your host, Noel Muro. I said we're going to have a special guest on here pretty soon. Bring on a couple more guests as we keep going with the show. TRYLOSOPHY.com. Well, I'm here to deliver. I reached out to renowned artist Patrick Killian from South Wales, across the pond. Many of you, if you guys are on boxing Twitter, you guys might have seen his artwork on Twitter and maybe Instagram, his webpage. He's a phenomenal artist, paints boxers, makes custom, paintings of upcoming, like main events like Tyson Fury, Wilder, and like tomorrow, Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko. And, we got into, how he became an artist, why he became an artist, why he decided to pursue art as a profession, and just uncovering, just peeling some little layers back. He used to be a boxer when he was younger. Choosing different career paths, decisions he's had to make. What was his first big commission pieces? What are his favorite commission pieces, and so on? And we give our predictions on upcoming fights in Boxtober. So without further ado, here is Patrick Killian. So Patrick Killian, tell me a little bit about yourself. Did you get into art? Did you start painting first?
I'm from the UK, in South Wales, Newbridge, very close to Newbridge, actually, Kazakh country. I grew up in the valleys of Wales, and I started boxing. I had a love of boxing from the age of around 16, and watching it with my father. And then I'd always done it as a kid, as a very young child, like on those balls you used to stand on, and I used to do the boxing ball, and then in my garden. So I had a love of it very early on. But then I didn't start training at a particular club as such until I was about 16. And then there were guys called Gary and Dennis Rogers. And they started taking me around because we didn't have a club. We didn't have a club together at that time. Do you want me to turn mine around?
No, you're all right.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. We're good.
Want me to leave it like that? Or do you want me to put it landscape? Oh, you put yours back the other way?
Yeah,
okay.
Mostly it's going to be the podcast for the audio. So, I'll take a couple shots of you in your studio, and we're on our way.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Keep going. Continue.
Yeah, and so Gary and Dennis Rogers started back here in 1991, 92. They got a club together, but initially, before that, they were taking me around all the clubs here in Wales, doing some sparring, and but it was good times, looking back on that, and really gave me a love of the sport. And that's where, I was obviously good at art, and I went from school to art college. So it was a natural thing for me to sort of capture my passion of boxing, and, as well as being a good artist at that time, capturing the both. And I just used my talent to do that. I didn't just paint boxing, but it was a real passion of mine, and something that I was always doing anyway. So that's where it all started, as a youngster, and it's just gone from strength to strength, really. From there, I boxed myself from. I didn't actually have my first fight until I was 18, so all my fights were senior level, and I didn't fight until I was 18 because I had a heart murmur. I actually failed the medical.
Oh, wow.
But the doctor said when I finally had the ECG, they said, look, there's nothing wrong. You're fit as a fiddle. A lot of athletes got these heart murmurs. So it was just a passion that I had, to be the best you could be, the fittest, the strongest. And it's such a great sport. And I mean, obviously you've got your team coaches and stuff, but it's down to you at the end of the day. You've got to be the best. You've got to be the fittest and the strongest to win. To outthink, to outclass the opponent. And I love that aspect of it, to be honest. I just like that. That to be able to do that as well as doing it, capturing it in my paintings. It was a brilliant two things to be able to follow my passions, doing those two things. And that's where it's led me to sort of, to be honest with you, I never knew it would become a sort of me doing it full time. That was my aim. That was my goal, no doubt. That was my goal, to be a professional artist. But I didn't know in what context,
Yeah.
But I always aimed for that.
So when did you know you wanted to pursue the arts to make a living, to be a professional artist?
Well,
like, at what age do you think?
Well, I was very young. I remember going to see I was watching an artist somewhere, and I sold my first painting when I was about 15, 16. So I knew at that time, I knew it was possible. I knew I could sell my work. I knew that I could. I didn't know I could make a living at it, but I knew I could sell my work. And I just kept pushing it. I kept doing it, and then obviously I worked for a while. I worked for about 10 years, working with young children, difficult children. And in that time, I kept pursuing my dream of becoming a professional artist. And I think it's from doing that, and you learn different things when you're in the business and you're doing it, and you just learn as you're going along.
Yeah. So, do you recall what piece that you sold when you were 15, 16? You said.
Yeah, it was actually like a garden of flowers, and it was actually a nice piece. And I sold it to my dad's mechanic, and he's still got the piece now.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I'm talking 30 years ago. I think I sold it for £50. It wasn't a lot, but I mean, £50 is probably about just under $100. But for a 15-year-old, it was I was on the road. I made a start. When you think that the Van Gogh didn't sell any, well, he sold 2 or 3 by all accounts when he was alive. When I think about it.
So, I also wanted to ask you, what was your first big commission piece as a professional artist? Whether it was painting either boxers at an event or something else at a different event, or the first big commission piece.
My first big one was certainly The Fight an Irishman, which was commissioned by an American company, and it was Houlihan Palms, a real estate company in New York. But James Houlihan, one of the partners of this company, he was setting up a very big exhibition in New York called The Fight an Irishman, because he wanted to collaborate the Irish and the Irish American ancestry in this big exhibition. Now, unfortunately, because of at the time social media wasn't as big, it's a real shame, because it probably didn't get as much attention as it probably could have, especially now. But it did. It still got a lot of attention, because, I mean, honestly, it was amazing. It traveled from 2006, actually more than that. Well, 2006 to about 2013, the whole exhibit, not just my paintings, but I'm talking like John L. Sullivan's fur coat, things from Ali, and it was just an amazing exhibition. You know, and that can be seen online, fightingirishman.com, or you can even find, if you type in Fighting Irishman, Patrick Killian, it's my painting, the mural painting that I did will come up. So that was the first big one for me. And it really, you know, it sort of cemented something for me in that I knew that, you know, I could specifically, you know, do this. I always knew I could do it. I think I've always had that, you know, a mindset of doing it. And that comes from boxing as well, mate. You know, I think that having the mindset of never giving up, always, you know, pushing, excuse the pun, like from Rocky, but I think that always, it is a really good, you know, it's good for that. You find a lot of boxers and stuff go into business as well, you know, after their career, because it is a business sport at the end of the day. You know, you've got to be, you know, that's what they're trained to. They realize that later on in life. I think a lot of them.
Yeah, that's
back to your question earlier. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I carried on the painting. To be honest, I mean, I would have turned pro. I would have turned pro with Joe Calzaghe's father, Enzo. He was on my doorstep.
Oh,
he was actually in my corner in Italy. I seriously considered it around 1997 because the club was doing good. The Calzaghe club was doing good, and there was some good fighters there. And I had left college in '95, but I was at a thing where, you know, you've got to become established to begin with, but also,
sure.
you know, I won a title in 1997, so it was very much on my mind, but I didn't do it in the end. I think what it was, it played on my mind. My hands were hurting, and that just played on my mind because I always wanted to be an artist, and I sometimes regret it a little, not giving it a go. Because as you get older, you realise that you can't turn back the clock, and you know you have those one chance. You got one chance, one opportunity to sort of give those things a shot, and they might have worked out, they might not have, but you just never know when you don't try.
Yeah, it's like a fork in the road, and you got to make a decision here.
Yeah, which way do you go? You know, and
so you had to make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't regret that. I sometimes think about it, but you know, it's just one of those things. You know that you know, I still pursued it in a different way, I guess. You know.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like probably it goes through your mind like, what could
exactly
was the other road, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I want to ask you also, who was the first famous person that you painted and signed it?
And signed it. That's a good question.
Or let's just say, who's the first person that you painted and then like they were there, or you met them or signed it? Yeah, I mean,
I would have thought it was probably Steve Robinson. You probably might not remember him though, because he was the one that lost his title to Nassim Ahmed in 1995. So Steve Robinson, at that time, we had a lot of there was a lot of TV footage in Wales at the time, but it was sponsored by Empress Car Sales. So Empress Car Sales had a gym where they opened the gym right by myself. So I was able to train there as well, and Di Gardner. But then I think, you know, probably I was always painting Tyson when I was younger, but never got, at the time, never got it. Not those particular pieces. Never. I'd probably give them away. I mean, I'm talking a long time back. You know, even when I was in college, in the first, like, from when I was like 17, probably, I started painting fighters. Even 16, 17, I started painting, and then. Because what I first did in my first print release was actually Nassim Ahmed in '97. And the funny thing with that is that Nassim then actually, I had at the time, but it was sponsored by Empress Car Sales. So Empress Castles had a gym where they opened the gym right by myself. So I was able to train there as well, under Di Gardner. But then I think, probably I was always painting Tyson when I was younger, but never got, at the time, never got it. Not those particular pieces. Never. I'd probably give them away. I mean, I'm talking a long time back. Even when I was in college, in the first, from when I was 17, probably, I started painting fighters. Even 16, 17, I started painting, and then because what I first did in my first print release was actually Nassim Ahmed in '97. And the funny thing with that is that Nassim then actually, I actually had a signing session with Nas probably about 13 years later, and he was signing the same print that I released, the first print release I did, and but it was quite funny as well because his brother got a bit funny. Initially, his brother got a bit funny the fact that I was selling these pieces, but he was fine in the end anyway. And it was nice to finally actually meet Naz for that piece.
Okay, very nice, very nice. So who was the were you ever starstruck at any of these painting events?
I was probably a little. I wouldn't say so much starstruck, but certainly they're obviously my heroes, people that I looked to, people that had inspired me to actually even produce something in the first place. And I would certainly say that, when I was over in Phoenix, Arizona in 2010 for Muhammad Ali's Celebrity Fight Night charity, that certainly was a bit of a, to see Ali there, and that was certainly, I wouldn't say it was starstruck, but to see him was an amazing thing. And to get over there to actually do a live painting at the event was something special as well,
Absolutely. It looks like the majority of your paintings are boxers, but no, go looking through your stuff on your website. You have Frank Sinatra. You have a bunch of other pieces. What other pieces are you painting as well?
Well, for me, right, it very much depends on. Well, I know the official artist for the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, so I do stuff every year now for them, and but also, to be honest, if I'm commissioned to do certain things, I'm actually in the process of doing quite a few commissions for personal commissions for families that you wouldn't generally see. But I'm actually doing some UFC stuff. I'm doing something for Bayliss and Harding, which is a big company here in the UK. I'm doing a second piece for them. I'm always doing something different, but sometimes I don't post it. I probably should post more stuff that just to show my versatility. Sometimes I don't, and some people just think that's all you do is boxing, and sometimes it's not a good advert, I guess. It's worth showing something else.
Absolutely. I mean, we're in this crazy thing called boxing Twitter with all those crazy folks out there. But I mean, that's what we are. We're boxing fanatics, boxing fans.
Yeah, I do post the odd things now and again on Twitter. Something a bit different, just to keep it, just to show really that what else I can do, and I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I think I saw this piece. It looked like a father and his child, and he was kissing his child.
Oh yeah. Well, that was one during the COVID. That was a guy from Luxembourg actually commissioned me to do that piece, So that was nice to do as well. And I like doing, especially if, to be honest, if a photograph or something is a very nice image to work from, that gives me something. Sometimes it's a nice change for me as well. But sometimes, honestly, sometimes people ask you to do things and they want to perform a miracle. They'll send you a picture of their dog about this big.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
They want to paint it, but yeah, sometimes it's not quite. You just can't do it,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I seen what I think it was earlier today. You had it was maybe it was on your website. I forget. It was like a veteran. It looked like a grandfather, like in his military suit,
well,
and then
you
in the background it's as a younger serviceman.
Yeah, well, you might not have seen that. If you type into the internet Tom Moore, you might have heard it in America, but he raised during the COVID, he turned 100 years old, and for the to raise money, he did 100 laps in his garden, but the man raised 32 million for the NHS.
Oh, wow.
For National Health Service year in the UK, which was phenomenal. So that painting actually went to his family. Yeah, it was phenomenal. His name's Tom Moore, Captain Tom Moore. So it was nice, and the piece actually featured on TV. It was nice because it was they did a life and times of Tom Moore in his early life. Very interesting man, and it was nice because that painting did feature on the show. Just a glimpse of it, it was nothing, but it did appear on there, which was quite nice. Yeah, so I do a bit of everything. I think obviously from the boxing and my background, actually boxing, I competed about 40. I had about 45 to 50 fights as an amateur senior level, and I won about 35 of them. I stopped about 15, which is quite a good record for an amateur, stopping people stopping about 15 of them.
Okay.
I wasn't a brilliant boxer, but I could end the fight, I certainly fought some people that were better boxers than me, but I finished the fight, because I had a punch. I'm going to have to show you this piece I've been working on.
Let's see it.
I know shall I turn this around? I'm going to send you a picture of this after anyway, okay? Let me just see if I can... No, that piece. How do I... Well, if I click on yours, if I turn... How do I turn it around? Oh, I got it. If I turn that around. Okay, look at this, right?
Wow, that is beautiful, man. You haven't even put this on Twitter yet, huh?
Nope. It's going out. It's going out very soon. Later today.
Wow, that is amazing, man.
Cheers,
so,
nobody's seen that yet. Well, actually, my Patreon, a couple of Patreon people have seen that, but nobody have seen it yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. I also wanted to ask you, what are your favorite pieces that you like? Let's say like your top 2 or 3, that are like near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, I'd certainly say The Fighting Irishman, because it was the first big commission that I had.
Okay.
There's a couple of Tyson pieces I've done, which are sometimes like I look at some of the simple pieces I've done. It's actually surprising how because they're simple. Sometimes less is more. And the funny thing was, I was going to put a lot of color into this, and I'm glad I didn't in the end. Glad that it. I'm glad I left it as I did. I think it works well, and I like the lights that I put on the top. The top rank lights. I think they work good.
Yeah. the way that they do it in the garden.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I would say there's a Tyson piece. There's, I'd certainly say the Fight an Irishman, because it was a really important commission for me. There's probably two Tyson ones. There's a Tyson montage I did in '95, which was a nice piece, a very realistic piece, and that was quite close to my heart as well, because obviously it was a piece that I did when I was in uni, and then when I left uni, I sold it after I left, but I also still sell it to this day as a print. So it's quite nice to to have that, as a sort of early stage sort of career sort of piece, sort of meant something as I left uni.
Absolutely. So, you hear me, Patrick?
I'm here.
All right. So I said, it looks like you've been working out and getting the six-pack going. So how's your training going, and what is your goal there?
To be honest, I've always been a fit guy from boxing. When I was training. Yeah, always been into fitness, and I think through the COVID thing, I think it just made me realise that I was unfit, and I wanted to get back, because and I think a lot of people went through this where, I think we all thought we had it at one point.
Yeah.
I do a bit of exercise. I did about 25 press-ups, and I couldn't breathe properly, and I'm like, shit, have I got it right? But then I thought, nah, I'm just unfit, So then, and I didn't like feeling like that. I didn't like having that, because I've always been fit, and I think it's just a habit. So I just started to make it a habit again, but I make it more of a thing with the diet, and I'm starting to get myself in better shape, and it's nice seeing when you can start to see the results, and you can start to see the shape coming back. It just encourages to do even more. So, and that's where I am now at the moment. I'm just watching the diet. When I say diet, right, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm just eating what I like anyway. I eat a lot of protein stuff. I don't really eat bread, because I got to a stage where what's the point of eating bread anyway? It doesn't really do much. It just fills you up. And then I come off milk, because I was having bad stomachs, especially I was bloating a lot. So I come off the milk, because I think I was lactose intolerant. Maybe there's something else, but it's certainly I was certainly getting bloated. So I stopped milk. I'm just on the soya, and I'm just feeling so much better from it, to be honest. So much better, and I'm trying to. I mainly do boxing training. I sometimes do a little bit of weights. I don't do much weights, but I'm just mainly doing the boxing, the skipping, bag work. But that's what I've always done, and that's what's always worked for me to lose weight and get myself fit, And I don't think you can beat the bag work anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. So when do you think they'll allow you to get back to a boxing event? Do you have any plans? Do you have any, anybody to be able to go and paint at a live boxing event?
No, I don't really have any plans for it at the moment. I sort of just kept, because I don't think we can travel to the US at the moment anyway. To be honest with you, I would have really liked to have gone out to this fight. I was asked by some Las Vegas friends if I was going, But looking at it, it just looked a bit pointless anyway, because, I can't really, there's no crowd there to exhibit the piece to. So in that respect, I just felt it was a little bit of a waste of time,
For sure.
And I'm a bit behind on the piece, actually. I'm going to put this out there now. I'm just tweaking on little bits. I really should put it out there after and see what people think. So you're one of the first, but you're one of the first to see it.
I was going to ask you. So, what is your prediction for Lomachenko versus Lopez?
I knew you'd ask me. I think it's going to be a draw. I'm just joking. I think what we're going to have here, right? I think looking at it, if they box as an amateur, I would say Lomachenko would have beat him as an amateur. Because I think Teofimo have lost a lot more in the amateurs than... I know it's a different game, I know that.
Sure.
But I think the style... I am very impressed with Lomachenko and what he does. Does the last fight against... what was Teofimo's last fight? He struggled a little bit.
I believe it was it against Comey when he?
Oh yeah, sorry, that was great. Was it that one, or was it? I thought it was another one where he struggled against the Japanese guy.
Oh, that's right. Oh gosh, I forget who it was, but yeah, he did look.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that we can't all look exceptional all the time. I think if he goes looking for the knockout, I think that'll be tailored, because obviously Lomachenko is looking for that. He's hoping he's going to come for the knockout. And if he does do that, if he feels that he can blast him away, I think there'll be a problem there. Because that ain't gonna help him. Because I'm thinking of a Calzaghe Lacey then, if he's looking for the knockout. If he takes his time and he boxes, which he can do, he is a clever boxer as well. I think he could frustrate Lomachenko a little bit. But I think the majority of people are going with Lomachenko on points. But, he's very snappy early on. He can catch you early on. And I won about $1,000 with Teofimo against Richard Comey. I put £15 on for the second round for a knockout, and I won.
Oh.
Yeah, I never bet either. But I listened to Teddy Atlas, and I think I have a pretty good thing on the fighters anyway. And I thought, well, he's such a snappy fighter early on that if he catches him, and I can remember Teddy Atlas saying the same thing. If he catches him within the first or the second round, he could go. So I just took a shot at it, and I looked at his record, seen how many he beat in the second round. He stopped 5 in the second round. So I thought, oh, right, I'll put a couple of quid on that. And lo and behold, he won. Second round.
I think that was his fourth fight.
I'm gonna say points Lomachenko.
All right. Yeah, I think
what do you think?
I think unanimous decision. Not unanimous, majority decision. Probably Lomachenko. Or the other thing I'm thinking is Lomachenko just drags him out to the later rounds and just starts beating on him and TKO possibly in the 11th round.
Never know. It's going to be interesting.
Also, we got like a triple header on Halloween. You got Usyk versus Chisora. You got Inoue versus Malone.
I think Usyk will. I think you'll take it quite deep into the later rounds, and I think you'll put him away.
Gonna put away Del Boy.
Yeah, you put him away.
All right.
That's my thoughts.
Davis Santa Cruz.
That'll be a good fight. I think Davis will actually stop him.
Do you think he'll stop him? He'll be the first one to stop Santa Cruz. Okay.
That's why I think he'll stop him, because he's going to want to make a big statement. And I've noticed in all his fights, he has made big statements in all of them. And I think he'll want to do that.
But Inoue versus Maloney.
Inoue was brilliant, didn't he?
Yeah, that's the monster.
But I'm not sure of the other guy. I'm not 100%. What's the other guy like?
Jason Maloney's he's a brawler from Australia. You know, his brother lost. I mean, they both fought on the same night, like maybe like a month ago or 2 months ago, something like that. And
right.
Jason Maloney walked out of there with the title, and now he's got a shot with the monster. So,
do you think that is he a come forward fighter? Is he a sort of is he a come forward guy?
That's what I saw. Yeah, he's mostly come forward, but he's kind of careful, you know. So he's talented. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think Inoue is on a different level.
Okay, well there we are. You answered my question. Yeah. I can't. You'd probably stop him. Then I would have thought.
All right. So what are your thoughts? Fury Part 3 being scrapped, and then Fury going on to fight someone else, and then ultimately Anthony Joshua.
Well, the funny thing is, I actually thought that would happen because it's been too quiet. It doesn't seem it's not big enough. It's not big enough for a third fight. There's no incentive there. I don't think the public are that really behind it. Now so I'm wondering whether the actual promoters pulled that, because it just I didn't have any interest for it anyway, and I think a lot of other people are the same, and it just seemed a little bit dead in the water. I mean, I think Wilder needs to come back, and he needs to have a good win. He needs to come back and beat a former champion or something, annihilate him, and then see where we go from there. Because at the moment, I just don't think that fight. It could be a big fight. If Wilder comes back and sparks a couple of former champions out, then people will start talking again. But I think at the moment, I just think it's, people will say, what's the point? What did you think of that fight? I was so impressed because, and what I said, and I actually called it as well, because I said, every time I was asked about the fight, I said Tyson's a really dangerous man on this because, I said he's got nothing to lose. He's been where many people haven't been before, on the brink of death or taking his own life. And he got nothing whatsoever to lose. So I said, what he's saying is that he's going to take it to Deontay Wilder. I think he is going to do that. And he did. I was watching. It was a brilliant performance, I thought.
Absolutely.
Was it early? Maybe it was a bit early. Maybe, but it was going that way anyway. And he was looking after this fighter. He was taking a bit of a battering. What do you think?
Well, I think Wilder's side has been pretty quiet anyways, and then COVID coming up, I think has a lot to do with it, because they want a live gate. They want all the fans there. I mean, you can't make money. I mean, why promote a fight that's not going to have any fans?
That's exactly what I feel that as well. I mean, why would you and that's what I feel. It hasn't been promoted. Why would you, that sort of a heavyweight fight like that needs to have a crowd. I mean, to be honest with you, the fight on Saturday needed to have a crowd good up for them too for doing that. You know, it deserves a crowd. But also, mind, I think that fight is going to get a lot of pay-per-view attention. Is it pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view. It's not pay-per-view in the U.S. I think it is for you guys over there across the pond.
Yeah. I think we can watch it on ESPN, or I think it is ESPN.
Yes, ESPN. So it's on ESPN. I mean, big ups to Bob Arum for putting this like on free TV, at least here, you know. And I think that should attract a lot of attention. I mean, even but the UFC having these gigantic fights on pay-per-view, and they've had a lot of success with that. But they were like the first sport to really come back, you know.
Yeah, what I noticed is that I think it's on it. UFC is on the same night.
Yeah, I think there's a UFC fight too. I think it's like Brian Ortega or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not a big paper. That's not a pay-per-view. I think it's just like a Fight Island type deal. So
it is.
So I mean, you know, they're gonna have a fair viewership. You know, they got their core fans and just people that like to watch UFC that are kind of casual fans as well. I just think that the Lopez Lomachenko fight is going to overshadow it. I think it should.
I would have thought it.
As far as viewership.
Is it on the same time?
No, I don't. I don't know. I'll have to look. It might be.
Yeah. I'm not
sure. Dana White doesn't, Dana White and Bob Arum, it's. I mean, I think the only person in boxing that Dana White actually gets along with is Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn, yeah.
And him and Bob Arum go back and forth. Him and De La Hoya go back and forth. I mean, that's just what it is. I don't think he talks too much about like the PBC or anything like that. But
no.
He'll go back. All right, Patrick. Well, it was nice talking to you. I hope to get you back on the show again once there's fans, and maybe one day we'll see each other at a fight or that. So, where can people find you? And we have not met before. No.
Okay, I thought we might have on a show. I wasn't sure. They can find me on Twitter. It's Patrick J. Killian, or just type in Killian Art. Killian_art on Instagram, and Killian Art is my website, killianart.com, or just type my name in, something will pop up. And please follow me and my YouTube channel.